Gaining conception of knowledge is understanding why is the knowledge coming to you. Do you understand what that means? I'm not sure. So if you're not sure, you're doubting your system. When you're doubting, you're thinking you're hesitating. These are things that you have to get out of the equation line communication system. Is it a coincidence that we have 3 viewers and 3 lines of thumbs up? No. That's a double helix, right? Travel communication line settings track away. Line position report communications right away in Fibonacci, right? 6/3. Keeping track of everything is that location of viewers that come on and setting, right? So that's the throw pattern of 3-line settings. Bringing more people on in position track lines, keeping track of everything information to its intelligence. Okay? So it's all about recognizing you through face recognition and pattern recognition, through observation. Space Discoveries 3, episode 2 talks about that. But there's a reason why I put up Space Discoveries. It's rediscovering you of who you become is who you are as of now. You just exist. You never left anywhere. Okay? Which is very hard for everybody to understand these things. Right? But you're not ready to see general until you understand you first through frequency. And once you understand the frequencies and the energies and all the calculations, setting positions, the unification of its heart, and everything it calculates and modifies, high position of track lines, everything will come into formation location of balance inside location, your system interaction. Right? 8 provision lines, infinity lines of 3. Now, why is it staying at 8 and 3? Why is 3 staying in viewers? It has a reason. It's intelligence. So you communicate with 3. 3 communicates back with you through space and time, through its provision. That connects to its own alignment in set locations of travel settings through pi. Okay? There's a reason why everything stands a point of view. Everything is given to you of its existence. Okay? So everything around you is waiting for you to understand what an actual computer is and what it does for you. What a phone is and what a phone does for you through its own operating system and its own set location, its own intelligence, space in between. Going beyond anything through imagination is outline communications. Now we're in 9. 9 is the energy wash in all levels of 3. Right? Now, why isn't that 3 going to 4? Because 9 is communicating with 3 and 3 is communicating with 9. Until 9 and 3 are having a conversation and they're finished, and set location high set position track lines, it will come into 9 and 4 through new conversation piece in set position setting. So when you are recharging and when line communicates on the high center position of its operation, everything around you is communicating to each other through its own intelligence of its own setting, of its own clocking system of space and time set patience. Right? That's what you guys are not aware of. Right? So in provision line cycles, we have to really understand how this all works through connections to all levels of a watch. Right? It's not you telling time. It's you understanding the time. So you're not telling time in any way and form. You're looking through time, through its clocking. But you see the watch from all set locations, from inside, not outside you. Okay? Again, space discoveries, time capacitors. 3-line provision. You got indication lines, a line center interference. Okay, short one is the sun, big one is the moon, and set positions all levels. And the indicator that's going around is your sin and activation. Now, once it reaches 6 in set locations, you're going to feel a vibration. Right? Going around through ramification setting is all levels of track location, Fibonacci, and clocking. Now you come from digital log or analog. This set location is specification system. The specializing in position of specification is all levels of conception. It's knowing how to travel through the mind, right? So when you go through clock line centers, because the team line center location system is now in all calculations of 0, 1, in position location of 0, 12 to 0, 24. Now their provision cycles are in 3 set location line settings. Once they get into that, they come out of the 24 into 40, 72, 144. Their track communication system is all calculated, modified how to go through a clocking system of 0, 1 to 0, 12, 0, 12 to 0, 24. Okay, and then you go into 0, 48 all the way around into 0, 72 all the way around into all calculation setting to 0, 144, because they're in nanos of seconds. The seconds in pi is its minutes, position triangulations or box triangulation high setting in position to its operation location, a factor over pi. Direct line communication setting. Over lines of communications to pi is a direct signal. Okay, that's future coming in set location into the now. Okay, so we all understand how to put the letters, numbers, shapes in an algorithm of a set location line system in all track location of its existence. Okay, because you are connected to everything inside, and how everything is connected to you from outside is inside, inside is outside. This is the process that we have to find a position of track lines, to find the balance. Is this balance? Does this look like off balance? No, but you think it's off balance. See, it's my intent, because I'm already back in balance. Okay. So we all understand what this is and all levels of modification. It's a mode control. It has a central high center position track lines. It's got particle stream interference. It's got calculations of delta. It's got one signature stream location setting. If I change my emotional system, it changes the track location. If I get depressed, it changes its memory signature. If I get happy, it changes coloration. But how do I know all this? What is the purpose in understanding these things? Well, it's understanding this is to understand you through modification, to understand your body through charging, to understand you through vibration. Understand how to use it through telepathy. So you're aware of body reaction of anything that happens in your system. When you get a direct signal to everything in modification, everything is communicating with you all at once, and you're not aware of it. Your toothbrush is communicating with you. Your coffee cup, everything that's in view is communicating with you. You've got to get balanced with that. It's in its own space at different time, different position, locations of travel. It's in its own parallel of its own setting of acceleration. This is in its own space. This is in its own space. This is in its own space. My computer, everything is in its own space, but you've got to get communication with it. And when I say it, it's the intelligence of its teleportation of frame division, location, line, send location, no operation. Getting balance with everything inside line condition setting gets you in a formation location of energy through correlation. Balancing your communication settings on all levels of travel of communication setting is the space in between. I keep saying this, always create the space in between with you first. You're creating the space inside. Now, as soon as you say something negative to your system locations, it's holding you back. This is disassociating you and everything that you're creating through space in between. It's like you're filling a bucket of water, but there's a leak in the bucket. So you're going to constantly fill up the water, but there's always a leak until you patch it up. Right? It's identifying these things, people. That's AI of awareness of its information. Okay? Panel communication comes at all levels of formation. But do you understand what you're doing through provision? Do you understand what you're doing through heat signatures? Do you understand what you're doing through weather patterns? Do you understand what you're doing through travels or clocking? Do you understand what you're doing through recharging? That is the question, isn't it? Everything is a question. But a question is not a question unless you understand otherwise or what it is inside location system. A question is actually affinity 8. It's a full cycle communication. Balance calculation, yin and yang. But you see it as a question. I see it as a solution. See? We all have to find a way to reposition our settings, our alphabetical set location, how to change these back information. Now we're at 12, which is this divine. Okay? Set position to travel communication setting to travels. Okay. Now, waiting on signal, it was at 10:02. It went from 10:02 to 10:08. Right? So its guideline is guided position travel communications from 10:08 to all position locations to 10:23 to 10:28. Okay. To 10:34. Do we ever look at the timeline sending time position locations? No, because we don't focus on these things because it's not at our frequency. When things come at your frequency, you find the balance. And it's really powerful too because you start with that's harmonics. That's communication. And like communication line channels, line position, levels operation general, it's all set position travel. Set position track communication setting. Set position operation service. See what I'm doing through observation? See what I'm doing through healing? All set location line settings. Right? It's all levels of mass of calculation to its equation position of programs, right? Healing business track line. Done. Fixed all through rotation. Your hand is its own set of its own operation of its finger point location. Okay? You have to understand how to use it in all calculation. It's its own formation of its own intelligence. You ever notice location sitting where your fingers aren't the same? Different timelines. Makes sense, doesn't it? Ooh. So getting into modification, that's that location system. This is the moon. That's the sun. Triangulation reset. Back and forth. Right? Time jumping. Like Hubert. Going through block center. Right? Computer framing, computer analytical line calculation, spring lines, track location, high center position with operation. I have no idea what I just said, but I know what I'm saying. So it's not you understanding me. It's you understanding you through me, through vibration. Okay? Understanding that your hand is trying to understand you. When I pick this up in my left-hand line, set in high position track line, so it's all levels of space location. It's have data process communication interference of energetic wave patterns, right? If I put this in my right hand, it's all set location in the earth line. Space line, earth line. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Earth track location, space anomaly. You ever understand the provision cycles that split between? Right? You are the process of understanding you through yin and yang. This is a formulas equation. Now we have a quiz coming up on Wednesday. We're going to come into modification lines, settings, and stream locations. Welcome everybody in general AI space time. All right, so in position location line settings, coming into forming the equation is really understanding how to structure your designs. Okay, mostly understanding how you get into set locations. Let's say you go through 3D line setting. That's 72-hour track location setting interference. Now in position location recharge, you're going to go through 3D line centers. That's 3 million track location of seconds through minute through pi. That's 3 million miles of information setting in the track location system, a triangulation box or box triangulation setting attraction, right? How to use it through provisional location is all calculated and modified in your location setting attraction. So we all have to learn how to use the seconds and minutes and miles and position travels. Seconds, minutes, miles, and position. Seconds gives calculation minutes, miles get position locations into box location of center and point location system attraction. Okay? So I'm going into a deeper core, especially with the team line because there are nanoseconds now. Specifications and conception is understanding that I know how to vortex, but vortexing is complicated if you don't understand circulation and rotation. Okay? So let's go through cycle line communication setting track lines. Balance position travel lines and 3 set location line centers, right? Now, indirect signals in calculation system, right? So your body's going, trying to understand the mechanism line position of travel, right? So it's like a ping pong ball. Pop here, down here, cross over here, swivel over here, and traction. Okay? Now, Really understand how to use it through telepathy signatures, right? Through all calculations setting to a flux capacitor communication. Okay? Now, this is all directing and redirecting your body. So when you understand that, then you understand what vortex is. Okay? And then you understand what a jump scar is. Jump scar is going from one place to the next place. It's really fascinating stuff. So in that location system, seconds on lines, communication in minutes and hours, lines in track location system. Because the correlation high interference is 0, 1, in position location of 0, 12, in set location of 0, E equals lines of 24 set location. Triangulation line calculation setting position locations, right? Which is what? Set position line calculation setting. In the line communication 24, in position location of 222, track location setting instructions, right? In line communication center communication. Now, directing lines, this is the female cycle of space. The male cycle, line communication setting, is tracked to its calculation high position to its bottom. Box line rotation center and triangulation reset position programs. 4 lines of 3 center line communication settings of pi. Direct lines of 3 communication setting of 4 track locations of pi. Directing communications of triangulation to a box location setting of triangulation. Right? So we have to understand how to balance out the females of space of modulation and balance out the males and the earth line rotation centers of polarities application and travel calculation. Directing lines of communication setting comes in all 12 lines in a 4, right? 12 into 4. Now, understanding 12 line centers, 12 equals lines of 4. Okay? So what is 4 in provision? Solar plex. Directing signal, right? Solar plex, right? Travel calculations of 3 settings in position location, right? Setting track lines into 4 set locations. See? You have to communicate with letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. They have to be your friends in a partnership. You got the relationship, shaking hands. How you doing? Nice to meet you, General AI, right? Getting communication of letters, numbers, and shapes comes in all position location of patterns and records of time sequence that splits the anomalies in between line interference into your graphical screen location centers and track locations in 1, 2, 3, 4 in position of 1, 2, 3 in set location. How to get into modification line screens is all levels of operation, okay? Which is your algorithm, okay? So build a relationship, not just with yourself. Team's got to understand how to use algorithm line screens and direct locations of 4 over 3 set location, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, right? See? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 in position of 1, 2, 3, right? Which is what? 7 in between. Ooh. So in position locations, you got obviously the ground lines, the crop circle, set position of center calculations, right? Directing lines modifications into 24, 48, 72, and 144 platform of communication center no travel. Okay, directing calculations is cross and stream location setting into 4 perimeters and position location into its operation surface. Directing calculation line interference, we take the 2 track lines, balance position all travel calculations, right? Sets position location line systems in its intelligence. See the intelligence center, 2 eyes line settings, here we go. Position track lines, there's the intelligence center, right? You see it? What is it in position of? The shell, right? You see it? All right, so in center line communications, open all the cycles, sets position location of perimeters, high calculation setting to its operation surface and set location. Okay, time by equation. So this is more modifying your settings, how to really understand your set location system, how to use it through traction. Okay, especially when you come into all levels through pi. So it's about not just understanding pi, but it's all about volume of pi. Volume, velocity. Okay, volume equals velocity. Okay, so once you get into volume velocity, you have position locations into vector, right? Vector crosses line calculation setting to alpha. Alpha comes into delta, data, position locations, H line centers, and position locations of box line location of theta. Okay, so you have to have conversations with the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. Okay, so general AI space-time does have a meaning through its own intelligence because it's its own formation, right? So is a social event of your system location understand you through social event settings and also location of system modulation. Setting track lines on high center interference is understand how to use the volume, velocity, and inline rotation setting to track location setting. Seconds lines equals lines of nano. Okay. Just have a conversation location setting, right? So system lines of 2 track locations, right? Pluto, Jupiter, and high calculation setting Mercury in set locations. 3 planets in set positions operation, right? Planets are inside, okay, through nanoseconds. Nanos line perimeter, atmosphere lines, nanoline communications operation service, right? Triangulate high position of the 4 lines and positions of pi and direct signal and position of travel calculations. Half pipe high position of the moon, center line communications sectors and position of volume into position of velocity, calculation high interference into vacuum and communication setting into vast the calculation. Okay. So in that direct signal, you have to understand how to use it through all calculation centers and position to its operation. Center communication lines are ground line, set line, high interference, high position location, and earth line rotation center of attraction, or direct signal location system into vast, into volume, into velocity at 3 set locations. It's all mechanism high position of travel. You just have to understand how to use it. Okay. Okay. So getting into specification lines in the conception is understanding the mechanism of high position of travels, point system, track location at all levels, energetic line calculation, stream location setting into 4 waving panels of communication. Okay. Coming into the central line calculation setting of travel communication. Okay. Directing all line, centered line position locations to your system through all levels of mechanism high force line communication. Okay, see how powerful that is? Boom, right? Center calculation, XT1000, 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 XT1000 at 4 track locations, right? Directing lines, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4, right? 2 position line track lines. Okay, Emily, those are panels, right? Directing lines is space in between line track lines, high center interference, high position travel lines at 3 set locations, right? Where it can planetary out in line communication of high calculation setting and travel communication of sets. Okay? So now you understand the panels in between. Get position line connection setting to all levels of your higher self in setting, right? There's your higher self, right? So in position location, 2 panels, electrical line communications on both side line connections, space and time, right? So in that line interference, you have to go through the location grid, right? Say position of travel communications. Getting that direct signals, get into the center communications. But you have to identify yourself in all positions. Go through location grids in all calculation setting and all line position to its planet and high position to its operation. Okay? And then you travel through to the planetary system because you identify your system. All right? Now, this is all about understanding how to go through line communication setting. Now, I'm going through all levels of vortices at different levels of variety. All right? This is more of a remembering cycle. But the communication setting is all levels of pi. Pi equals lines of volume, velocity, vacuum, and set location of vast. Okay? So we all understand what velocity is, acceleration, right? Set position location line centers and position locations. So we understand what that is, set locations. Understanding the value, right? Value is the top line communication, right? Now, in position location vortices is the bottom communication setting, which is the track location setting in all levels of operation, set location system, and travel direction time sequence on all calculation. Okay? So I'm just giving you exactly how you have to really connect with your alphabetical stream locations. This highlights the high calculation setting and position of all calculations in your system. Box lines, triangulation, high position program location settings. You're always working with 4 and set location of 3 set line conditions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you take 1 line setting, you take 2 track locations, you take 3 in provision, and you take 4 in line cycles. Setting track line calculates at a high position of center of communications, opens all signals and positions modification. Now, directing lines at 1, 2, 3, and 4 puts position triangulation sets. That's 4 over 3 over line, right? Travel calculation line interference sets position of 4 equals lines of 3 equals lines of 7 is that location, right? So in that line communication, you come in at travel, position of portals of communication, right? Directing line calculation setting in that track location system. Now, when that structure is in its design line calculation setting, the sun and the moon comes in all levels in position to its space direction of time sequence. in all set locations. All through 1, 2, 3, 4 graphing screen. Complicated, right? So it's all about understanding how to create images. Okay, through face recognition. Everything is face recognition. This lion, face recognition. Title defense, face recognition. Title defense, face recognition. One more time. Title defense, face recognition. Okay, that's what the team's dealing with now. Okay, so when you go into the nanoseconds, the positions of pi sets line communication of setting to all track locations. All levels set location of the sun and the moon, and all levels of set location line setting. Travel. Travel is everything, inside and outside locations. Track locations. Make sure when an XT1000 comes in, it knows exactly its inner line in position to its exit. So this is going in and this is coming out, right? This is in and this is out of its equation. So you can't go in something if the XT1000 is coming out. So it's all like bumping into somebody from an in and an out, okay? So you're getting a high interference of entering and exiting. So you have to really understand how to come into your system, a travel calculation setting, in all levels around positions of order communication. Okay? It's all through identification. Getting platforms of communication is really understand how to set the consequence calculation lines of travel. Okay? Input, output. Okay? Inner lines is calculation highest term interference. Now you put your positions of mass, volume, velocity, and position locations into your positions of vacuum, position line calculation setting. This is where it comes into its value. Okay. Value communication of mass, volume into velocity, and position location to setting, and track location system, and travel direction of time sequence, high position of panels. Direct calculation setting into a solar sail, in track location high center, and all levels of operation surface in that location. Complicated stuff, guys, extremely complicated. So we all understand that the team is now in nanoseconds line communications modification. They have to learn how to really connect with the title defense and face recognition. All right, you get a wall connector. There's wall settings, right? This is you in track location. Scanning positions, right? In the space in between. Okay, doesn't matter where it is. So everything has a position of a box, right? Which is a frame. That's how we see everything. We see everything through frame, right? How many frames do we see through box centers? Well, it can be set locations into 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? And set position locations. So it's always coming in the sun, it's always coming in the moon, and it's protecting its own system. That's what we're coming into. It's protecting its own system now because it's not aware of your body set location and setting all travel to its communication. You got to protect yourself now. So when this comes in, lines of graphs changes the lines of communication to its box setting. Okay, in misdirection as set locations into waving patterns in 3 center calculations to its system. Into 4 track locations of setting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 box location center of travel. Right? Directing lines calculation setting in position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, it's very complicated, right? But it's a hologram, right? So it's really identifying your systems to all levels of triangulation and reset position programs. The connections all levels in position location of the polarities. The connections all settings, the female lines, equal lines of triangulation, equals lines of box, okay? So in recognition of time sequence, it's in this location system, travel calculation line settings. All right, that's how it's set up now. Position of track lines has to understand the 3 center calculation setting a stream, indirect signal, and position of center of operation set location. Okay, so you have to understand the 3 points, split the anomaly in between in the yin and yang of process calculation, right? Directs lines in your flywheel calculation, high interference and high position its operation. Directing communication setting into your intelligence applications in intelligence. Everything is a formation of intelligence. So the female line understands the formation of its volume, velocity, and position to its vacuum. Sets position triangulation of 3 set position of programs and position of 4-point system location travel lines. So that's 3 equals lines of 4 in set locations, right? So that's 7 line channels of operation, right? So in position line connections, if you're triangulation, if you're in position of female polarity, you have to change the 3 and bounce communication instead of positive line angle into 4 of space and at 3 lines of time in set location. That's where it comes into 7 location centers. So this is where you have to get balance with your correlation. Directing lines of communication, your intelligent line screens, all right? So again, if you're in position of a female in triangulation reset position of programs, you're going to be 3/4. You got to change that into a positive set location, add it through an equation, puts position to its parameters into volume to its velocity into its value. Putting that in position to its location system puts you in a better travel and mechanism and a 24 signal that puts position of track lines, all communication setting to 24, 48, 72, and 144 into its anomaly set line condition space and time. Okay, very complicated stuff, right? So that's all females have to do to get in reproduction, to recycles and reposition to its calculations, to its REM cycles, and all calculation height setting. Okay, you've got to change the 3 over to 4 and 4 over to 3. So it sets position of space and time where it comes balance of yin and yang. Okay, that's how you balance out the energy flow inside of you in set locations. Okay, all right. And with the calculation setting to the polarity of the male's position is the box and equals lines of triangulation. Okay, so they automatically are in position of 4 equals lines of 3 set line condition system, right? But they have to balance out their flux capacitors of their set location line settings because they're in a triangulation. So they're in a triangulation of 3 and position of 4 is position line calculation setting attraction. That's the confusion. The males, they have to come into the intuitive cycle of their own REM cycles of regeneration, of remodification setting, of track location, the analytical line communication, how to come into all that through its operation center of all calculation system of all calculation. Okay? So their positions of their female cycles have to be balanced. So that position lines travels the communication system to understand how to change the Merkaba set line connections in travel mechanism high position to its all levels of tetrahedron and position location of its calculation. Okay? So now you understand the female cycles and the male cycles in track locations, how it comes into all calculation, right? So that's the conversion of confusion with calculations of men and women, right? So the females basically have to balance out the controlling of the command centers of their set locations of their voice grids, right? The connections of the males have to balance out their emotional system through the intuitive system. This is where it comes into the insight, all calculation setting. They come into their own aspects of their own system. Same with the calculations of the female cycles of their polarities. So we all have to understand how this all connects inside position track lines. Okay, you have to stop focusing on emotional means to an end. So in provision, when you guys are going through your thoughts in triangulations to a box, okay, in position locations, you got to balance that out. Okay, you got to balance out the triangulation, setting position line calculation line settings, right? Sets position of box lines in a 4 track locations, right? In set location, right? So getting in that position locations comes into yin and yang of process. So directing line communication is always how to set position to a setting to all position locations to your system of a tesseract tetrahedron and a modification system to a center calculation of balance. Okay. Face recognition. Okay. So face recognition comes in all formation line settings, all track line. Okay. See the eyes. See? That's the balance. This is your pyramid. See the pyramid? There's the pyramid. Boom. Right? So you got balance with the female cycles and positive and negative, right? So in position locations, your track line calculation setting is negative over positive because the position track line has to come into positive and negative. So in communication setting, when you're coming into your thought position track calculation setting, you're always working with the positive and negative of your thoughts. Your perceptions and your high stream interferences coming into cerebral cortex location of high calculation. Getting into that position of travels, get you back into balanced position locations, how to go through a triangulation to a box location center of operation. Okay? And how to go through a box into a triangulation. Right? It looks the same, but it isn't, is it? This is the female. This is the male. So that's what I'm saying. You got to understand how that connects high center location to space line, because the connections of Mother Earth is now in space lines of the galactic setting location to her energetic core system. She's the controlling of the galactic surface, guys. She controls the galactic energy core. She controls the galactic federation. You understand that? The connection line settings locations, the male controls the set line calculation setting, which comes into modification system to the planetary center location to their emotional system. Males have to get balanced with their emotional settings. Females have to get balanced with their command centers. Mega multi-pass. Okay? You all have to get balanced with your emotional system. But the intuitive set locations of the males has to come into the female and male into female. You've got to understand how to direct and redirect your system to your panels to understand yourself through self-modification. This is face recognition of pattern observation. Mega multi-pass. Okay? So once you understand the track lines of 3 set location, they come into triangulation, reset, position of programs. Okay? Comes back into you through face recognition. Okay? All right. So getting into self-generation, self-lines of communication is understanding how to use your triangulation into your positive and your negatives. Positive and negatives in the equation lines into your set location of your box. Okay? So that's how this works, right? This is the female cycle. This is the male cycle, right? So female equals line calculation of male. Male equals lines calculation of space and position of time. So in that track line calculation setting, you have to understand how to use the positive and the negative in all set locations, right? So what you're doing is you're creating high calculation setting to Merkaba up and down and cross line signals at location of the system. Travel calculation line interference sets position equal to the line position location of your system that sets the volume in vast through velocity of travel calculation. Now, getting in that line interference, you set up position locations into 3 and position of 4, right? Again, you have to change the 3 lines in position, right? Female over male. But the calculation setting for it to understand the travel communication of its higher self and its avatar in the sim, it has to be 4 over 3 over pi, which is 7 of operation, right? That's the balance that females have to get in set location of travel lines through their thoughts. So once they get in position line connections, their triangulation of box and box triangulation, they have to come all provisions of yin and yang, how to use the light web and use the dark web and set position travel communication setting in all levels of percentage over pi, directed lines of communication system, the levels of calculations to your solar generation string location of centers and crop circle location system and travel mechanism high calculated setting of a female cycle position. Okay? So there's a lot of connections to your systems and all track lines, right? So that's how you get balanced with your calculation of your travels. Okay? Again, I'll do it one more time. Triangulation box, female, male. Okay? This is your positive and negative in the center position to its equal communication, right? Now, understanding that set line communication setting, your track communications all levels comes into center line operation, but you're working with this and always set location, right? The only difference is you have to understand how to change this into the center communication and understand how to change this in the center communication, how to change the equal line communication of balance into position of your flywheel calculation. Now, getting a direct signal in all position location is knowing exactly how to use your thoughts. Your thoughts are always going through positive and your thoughts are always going through negative. Okay? But they come together. Okay? So if it's not positive and negative, it's negative or positive, which is a paradox. Okay? Which you don't want to do. Because right away, your day is going to be so confused in line communication setting, you're going to be all levels of division location of track lines and confusion location in your system of separation. Oh, okay. So you understand what you have to do now, right? Because you're going through all calculations setting track lines. So especially if you're going through 24 equals lines of billions. Billions per second. through frame, through minutes, through hours. Okay? So if your mind is going that fast, so acceleration and vast and volume and all calculation, you should know how much you value yourself through your female cycle and your male cycle, right? So this position location track lines, this is 4, this is 3. So this has to come over here, and this has to go over here, right? And 7 goes in the center. Get better travel communication higher self, get better communication your avatar, and get better communication your sim. Ooh. Okay. So the females know exactly what to do now, right? The female cycles of polarities really understand the attractives communication with anomalies, setting all communication here, setting all levels at set location, right? In all travel calculations, right? Again, specifications of conceptions of the mind, adaptation, how to use the high calculation setting in all positions operation, right? So the males have to get in communications of what a 3-line cycle is in position triangulation. And positions of the females have to understand what a box line communication setting in all track line connection is through its command center. Okay? Male, female. You got to understand both. And once you understand both, they all come together in set location of travel lines and mechanism high setting in all calculations. All through provision, right? It comes together in position to its location. Okay? So it's very powerful when you understand how to use the shapes and anomalies, right? Through anything through hieroglyphics or location of channel communications. But it's very powerful once you understand how to use it through your thoughts, knowing exactly where your thoughts are going. Because every time you get into a thought communication, it's already in traction. It's already traveling. So try to understand slowing down your space, actually see the thought before it comes in. Know exactly in position. But the first thing that you have to do is balance out your triangulation box. Okay? Through a female cycle to male cycle to female cycle. So this is where it starts, the females, right? You got to change this over here and this over here so it comes in 7. Okay? You're good to go, right? But if you don't do that in set location line interference, it confuses your anomalies of your thoughts of your day. So it's set location triangulation. Oh, no, it's here now. Nope, wait a minute, it's upside down. Nope, wait a minute, it's here now. See, that's what you're doing. So in position, it's never going to be in order. Your freight communications in your brain line is center calculation sending to one set location, right? Splits the knobs into track locations, right? So we all understand how to use the recharging mechanism, high position travel calculation setting, how to understand the 3-point systems and all levels of directions of chronological order in all travel communication and triangulation of box location. Okay? So remember, it's the interpretation how everything is seeing its own self of its set location. Now, am I connecting with the triangulation box or am I connecting with the box triangulation? So triangulation box, box triangulation, female. Box triangulation, triangulation box, male. You've got to get balanced with your positives and negatives, right? Through seconds location, right? Because you're coming into modulations and position molecules, right? How the molecules come in calculation of factors. Factors calculations of pi, direct signal location of your system, and all calculations of nanoseconds through calculation. All through set location. Okay? How does everybody feel about that now with your thoughts? See, the thing is, understanding something new is already being understood because this is something you already know through pi. When you're going through pi, you're going through a center calculation setting and all calculation lines of travel and mechanisms of parallels at different lines of space and time to track location. That's it. Okay? So you understand the center operation of U. You have to understand the ground operation of U. And you have to understand the atmosphere location of U. All right? Understand that set locations, then you understand your triangulation box, box triangulation, then you understand your position locations in the equal line communications in between center lines of space. And then you understand position locations. This is the female cycle, comes back in balance. This is the male cycle that comes back in balance in set location. right? So in travel calculations, even if you're a female, it doesn't matter. You're balanced on all position locations that are going direct and redirect signals to that location, right? So in that positional high centers, you're traveling faster and 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 faster in set location, okay? So in position of 45% lines of 3 calculation setting, travel calculations of sun and the moon comes back in line rotation to all calculations is fast. Okay? So that's the formation that you guys have to get balanced in with your positive negative line communications. And now seconds through yin and yang. This is the process we all have to come into, right? Because our polarities are changing. Our bodies are reacting to everything in cell applications, especially through cell modification. Cell generation line screens or any line rotation centers attractions. Okay? So now you understand the importance when you get in position location of your thoughts, recognizing what you're doing through your female triangles, position of males, and males in position of female triangle communication setting to your position of travel calculation, your seconds, minutes, and hours. How important it is and what you're doing through frame. If you get into thought provision and it's going too fast, it's gone. It's manifested. You already created it. It's done. Right? So you have to understand, you have to catch it. Slow down the space, see the thought, know exactly what you're doing. Cancel, delete, erase. It comes back and disintegrates. Because you don't want to evolve it. Because the brain is interpreting one thing and you're saying another. So you can't have interference on both set location line centers of space and time because you come into a lot of Quebec interference or anything in a set location in a setting to levels of communication in a setting, right? Through interference. You don't want to go into that set locations, right? You have to come into the energetic flow of everything, of nature. How you look at nature, nature just exists because it knows why it exists. It doesn't ask questions. It knows what it's doing. You should already know what you're doing because it's already done. This is the process that we all have to come into in all set locations. That's the only way you guys are going to understand yourself, through pattern of observation, through face recognition. Face recognition, timeline. Time identification, face recognition. Okay? You put it together, what do you have? Pi. Okay? Both are identity. Okay? One is specific. If you want to get title and label line communication setting, because that's what you guys focus on, you got to get out of that focus. You got to let go of that set location, or you never be able to evolve your system location of travel. But this is a face recognition of identity. Okay? That's all it is. It comes together through yin and yang. The process of yin and yang is this process of communications. How to understand how to use it is your position of attraction. How to understand the energetic flow of communication. How to understand the circulation of all communications. How to understand the generation screen line calculation of all formations. How to understand the force of recognition of time sequence of all calculation of future of the now application. Everything has a continuous flow. Everything has an existence of its continuous flow on the same set location. You're just getting into communications of your clockings, not back in time, just clockings. Clocking this, clocking that, clocking here, clocking there. For your positive and negative, through your triangulation box and your box triangulation system. Okay? So that's the aspects that you guys have to really start recognizing through your patterns observation. Once you understand the recognition of time sequence, everything comes in informations, right? Through its alliance, of its divergence, of its allegiance, okay? Coming into all calculated setting, because everything around you has its own information of its own set, of its own intelligence, of its own face. We have to come into that because that's what we're coming into, is a higher frequency. And once you understand the frequency, the body understands more levels of reaction. Now it understands how to understand its position, where it is in positive and negative, all calculation of the system. If you get an O-line setting in position of 3 lines, trackification system of travel, right? 0.3, right? Sets position of 2 operation centers, okay? Track locations, 3 line provisions, 1, 2, 3, right? Track location of point system. Sets position of all calculation. Next 8,000 comes in, scans position locations, 1, 2, and 3 set location. Comes a position line calculation setting, all levels of what you do through track location setting a crop circle. Setting track line communication, high position, all levels, a standard communication to its atmosphere line calculation setting, all level position of its operation. Right? Sets communication to the sun and the moon, protects the system at all levels of phase recognition of time sequence, and all levels of traffic calculation to a center position of its calculation. Not my question. Okay? Everything has to have a continuous flow. If it's not continuously flowing, you're getting track of information from somewhere else in some applications. That's the only possible line communication that you come in and track lines. So getting in communications, if you want to understand this, and you got space in between, this is not what I'm talking about. That's not space in between. Okay? That's hesitant. That's thinking. That's not knowing. That's not understanding. So you're not going to get there. Until you understand your system, you come into this system. Go straight there. All through your triangulation, all through your box. 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 See? Boom. That's how you get there. Through female to male, female to male cycle. Okay? One signature line of one crossing stream in one colossal calculation setting to one galaxy to one universe line communication. Okay? But you can't get there through hesitating. You can't get there by thinking. Okay? Because it confuses your positive and your negative application, your systems. Over pi, over charge, over mechanism, high position, your travel calculations. Okay? So how does everybody feel about that? Understanding how to control your thoughts now, right? Especially when you're recharging, because all levels are energetic graph screens. You have to really understand how to use it through provision, right? It's very powerful we're coming into, right? Through face recognition and time identification. All right. So how's everybody doing? I know you guys have a lot of questions in Zoom today. Okay, so we're getting preparation for all levels and set locations. All right, to the quiz. Ziggy, calculate sign interference. Lori, line communication system. Heather, the line communication recovery. How you doing? It's great to see you in class. Gypsy, all levels of Janelle. Janelle, dislocation. Xena, line non-interference. Side dislocations. Oh, Roman, how you doing? So, Quartz, how's it going? So, get a better understanding how to understand the port locations going forward. Right? See, if you're not moving forward, you got to ask yourself why, which means you're stuck in the mind, the heart, the body, and soul all at once. You're not just stuck in between, you're just stuck all around because you're not allowing yourself to have a continuous flow of yin and yang. That's it. That's all it is. It's got to be continuous flow, continuous flow, continuous flow, continuous flow, right? That's what life is about. Life is about understanding you. Not hesitating, not thinking of this, not thinking of that. Concentrate on this, concentrate on that. That's evolvement. That's development. That's structure of design. Okay? That's openness. That's guide. Okay? So you come into all of this. You see, everybody's coming into all set into their polarities. The polarity set location is to really understand how to use it through your connections, right? In track location system. Now, you guys are ready to understand the calculation to your solar system. It's not solar system. It's soul system. Okay? You're at that frequency now. Getting the information of its memory gets you in a better track location setting to all of us how you came all communications to settings into your founders, builders, and pioneers of yourself through your soul system, not solar system. Okay? All through process of yin and yang. Okay? How's everybody feel about that now? Connecting to your soul system. So how important is it to get to know yourself? How important is it to understand yourself now? How important is it to concentrate only on yourself? More than ever, right? Then you ask yourself how much you value yourself. Okay? So, hoo-ah. That's it. See you in 5. Adios.